All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, right out of the gate, it is May 6th, 2024, and we're doing another tropical update. Yes, now I will admit, I know yesterday I had mentioned to you guys we more than likely will not be doing a tropical update today because of, the activity Saturday and Sunday. I wanted to take a bit of a break, but you know what? After the last couple of tropical update videos doing so good, we're bringing back a lot of our lovely viewers from the Caribbean, Central America, and the coastline. I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and get started with one of our more traditional tropical updates because this is typically when they're going to be rolling out. I intend on doing almost a reverse of what we used to do for our tropics talk last hurricane season with Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be doing it first thing in the morning, sometime around maybe 8:45, 9 o'clock, if that's okay with you guys, pending, obviously, if there's tropical activity. We'll probably do more. We may do different kinds of variations of content. We'll do hard videos. We'll do live streams. For now, we'll just stay on the live stream train. So thank you very much if you're new to the channel. I do appreciate you guys tuning in this morning or at a later point in time after this live stream has uploaded. I genuinely appreciate your support and your curiosity as we get ready to roll into a potentially very active and potentially impactful hurricane season. And I know there's a lot of potentials thrown out there and what ifs and whatnot. I've already been called out on that in the comments. And I'll tell you right now, since we're only at May 6th, there's going to be a lot of what ifs. And I will echo the same comment that I replied to someone who called me out on that. Forecasting is a bunch of what ifs, but they're scientific what ifs. And what we have to do is look at the breadcrumbs, look at the signs, the signals, the patterns that the models and the observed data give to us in order to present these forecasts to you guys. If we wait to, quote, forecast when the thing is staring us in the face, you're not forecasting. And at that rate, you may as well just hang up your coat, find another job. And so today, as the name implies, the main reason I wanted to come on here, number one, was to initiate our Monday tropical update. We'll do another main weather update on Wednesday morning at around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I also figured today was a good day to jump back on the live stream because it does look like, per the calendar, May 15th, Eastern Pacific hurricane season does officially start, and it does seem like the East Pac is going to wake up right in time to meet that May 15th deadline. We'll talk all about that right now. Good morning to Justin Wilson, Wilhelm Red, Judy Toko, Super Charas. Yes, I'd actually just spoken to someone on Instagram a little bit ago. There is now officially, I think, a high risk for severe weather, a total 5 out of 5 over parts of the central and southern plains. So it is definitely going to be a busy CONUS weather day as well. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot to dig into, and I'm not going to waste anybody's time. We're going to be discussing multiple AORs. We're going to talk Atlantic, we're going to talk Pacific, we're going to talk Centim, Caribbean, Southeast. We're going to talk about a little bit of everybody this morning. Thank you very much, Mick and Marley, for joining us. Reefs and Runways, Dania Beach, Florida, thank you very much for tuning in. Twilight Firefly, pleasant to see you. Super Charas, Matthew F150, good to see you in here as well. This is a wide shot of what we have going on across the tropical AOR, both for East Pac and North Atlantic. And as you can see, we still have quite a bit of dry air over the Caribbean, trying to help intensify some of the residual convection that's moving around the vicinity of the Cayman Islands, Jamaica. This has been on and off for the last few days. It looks like there's a bit of an upper level perturbation, looks like maybe a weak spin right in through here. And the south periphery of that is what's helping to keep moisture around, keep some upper level vorticity around to help guide these thunderstorms into action and off towards the east. You can see a giant anticyclone also positioned over much of the western and central MDR. I'm looking right here, probably in response to our dry, dusty air that's out there. And once again, I want to go ahead and move my head out of the way so you guys can see another excellent example of what we were talking about the other day on the live stream. Notice to the south side of our dusty air out there. See, right along that leading edge of the dry air, look at all that convection just off to the south of it that's being fueled not only by the dense dry air that's kind of wrapping around the east side of the anticyclone, but we're also pulling in wonderful moisture amounts from Africa, the southern hemispheric Atlantic border, if you want to call it that. So this is exactly what we've been talking about over the last few live streams. It does seem like where our easterly jet and our waves begin to propagate, they could actually be helped a little bit by our Saharan dust if they tend to ride along that southern boundary of it. Because you can see now we have a consecutive line of really good convection just moving west to east or east to west right there along the southernmost flank of where our Saharan air layer is kind of just wandering around like this. So excellent example there. The two areas that we really want to watch, number one is going to be Eastern Pacific. And the reason I want to put even more energy into the Eastern Pacific this hurricane season was because those poor people got schmammered. They got, I don't want to say destroyed, but for all intents and purposes, they did get destroyed. And you know exactly which hurricane I'm talking about, amongst other ones out there that rapidly intensified and brought some really hellacious impacts not only to central and southern Mexico, but Central America, Baja California, and SoCal, Arizona, with some very heavy rainfall a la Hurricane Hillary earlier on in the East Pac hurricane season. And that's why we're going to definitely be starting off our tropical updates looking at both sides. We didn't really do that last hurricane season, and I sincerely apologize for that. We mainly started every one of our videos, every one of our segments with a look at the National Hurricane Center homepage, but as I mentioned before, we're definitely going to be starting with more threat-based discussions, then moving into our analyzed data like the homepage and systems that may be out there in the meantime, and then we'll roll into forecast. So this is what we have going on right now. We're going to take a look at what's going on with our potential CAG that's going to set up over Central America, the good old gyre that everyone loves to talk about. I do think that's going to help to activate the East Pac, and there are still a number of little whispers, signals and whispers from more ensemble platforms now this morning that we might have something trying to sneak out of the Western and Southern Caribbean. Not looking at anything big. This time of year, we typically don't have very, very anomalous tropical cyclones. Tropical storm at best. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility we get a hurricane, but at this point in time, if we're thinking realistically and logically, if anything were to try to sneak its way up and out of the Central or Southern Caribbean, it'll either come up into the Gulf of Mexico after smacking headfirst into the Yucatan, crossing Cuba, headed towards Florida, or just moving immediately north and northeast over Jamaica, Cuba, the Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, maybe trying to get into Hispaniola and Dominican Republic, and it'll remain fairly weak. We're not in an optimal setup to really support powerful tropical cyclones. So right now, I'm examining the potential of getting a disturbance down there. A disturbance, or maybe a little bit of an organized area of vorticity that may try to spin up into our first depression. Maybe a low-end tropical storm like we saw with Arlene, Brett, Cindy last year. To be determined. So this is where we sit right now, and we're mainly going to be emphasizing the East Pac in this video. Like the name implies, first name storm may be on its way, and it does seem like the conditions are mounting. I did have National Hurricane Center pulled up for us to see. Unfortunately, they have not started anything just yet, not for the Atlantic or the East Pac. We don't have our discussions or our outlooks. Let me see. Yeah, no, they don't have any outlooks as of right now, and this was back from November 30th. This is old, so pay no attention to that. This is also, I believe, valid for, November 30th, their last issuance. So we have not activated National Hurricane Center just yet, but I want to say that they should be coming alive here very soon, especially for the Pacific side, and you'll see why here in a moment. So right here, what we're looking at, I didn't mean to present this first, but I guess we'll go ahead and talk about it. If Brian, Florida is going to be in the chat, I know, there he is right there, Brian, Florida, USA. I didn't want to talk about this first, but this is going to be our 850 millibar winds brought to us by the lovely Korean model, the KMA. The KMA actually served us pretty well last year, so naturally it's going to be in our tool belt when examining the tropical environment. And I just wanted to pinpoint, and like I said, I didn't want to present this first, and forgive me if it seems like I'm leading the way with this. I'm really not. It just happened to be in my tabs the way it is, so we're just going to roll consecutively through. There's a couple areas that I want us to pay close attention to. First and foremost, the KMA, and this has been trending for a little bit. Notice we get a very weak circulation down there over the Southern Caribbean. Nice little cyclonic curvature, and this is very textbook for this time of year. It tries to consolidate, moves right over Central America, and then notice it does eventually tighten up into a spin. And this, I do believe, is what's going to possibly be our first name system out there for the Eastern Pacific. And this is echoed on other model platforms. I'll show you guys here in a second. The other area of note, and I've noticed that our main models, the GFS, the Euro, have backed off on this. The other area of note is in the Gulf. Check that out. That's definitely something that has my attention, and I'm watching it very closely because there have been hints and whispers of something trying to come off the coastline, and this was the exact same time as last year, believe it or not. Well, not the exact same time. We're about a week or two in advance based on the current timestamp. This is early morning, May 14th. Last year, if you guys remember, in late May, we had energy wander off the Gulf coastline and turn into Arlene off the west coast of Florida right as we hit June 1st. And the two reasons I bring this up, number one, is because it's there. Number one, all of our models have hinted at some sort of a weird anomaly coming off of the Gulf Coast, moving into the Gulf of Mexico, right over that loop current, and where our waters are slowly warming. They're getting warmer, guys. They have been getting warmer, and I'm noticing people on X and on other social media platforms are also observing this as well. The Gulf of Mexico is definitely heating up. And like I said, this morning, the models have backed off, but if I switch the overlay here and we go to the Caribbean so we can get a little bit better of a view as it boomerangs out of there. So check that out in the Gulf of Mexico. You see that area of energy wander off the coast right there. And then notice what it does as it exits. Look at that bad boy. Now, obviously, I really don't think that's what's going to happen. This is a very, very erroneous run. And not only that, but the 0Z for this morning, or actually the 0Z for the last 48 hours hasn't rolled in. So we're definitely not putting a whole lot of faith and confidence in this, but it is an interesting iteration to see this. And unfortunately, I don't think other models like the UK Met or anything like that go out as far for us to see at this point. Maybe we will. Maybe it'll get that far out. No, not quite yet. 168 hours. But notice even the UK model has something trying to get its act together and crossing into the Eastern Pacific AOR. And we get a nice area of upper level, or mid-level, I should say, anticyclonic rotation across much of our Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. This is going to be the Icon model. So I have the Icon up as well because the Icon is fantastic with, early developmental signs. And if you go all the way towards the back end of the loop, notice that the Icon model as well, in terms of our Eastern Pacific, tries to develop something out here. So we're definitely starting to get those classic clues. We're definitely starting to get those classic indications of precursor development before it actually shows itself on satellite and observed data. So that's very interesting. That's a look at the Icon. This is our GFS ensembles, our MSLP ensembles. And I want you guys to look in multiple areas. So first and foremost, we still have very weak indications of some kind of a low pressure drifting off the coastline. And another thing, guys, I know this is a tropical update, but I want to throw this disclaimer out there before I get lit up in the comments. No, I'm not strictly looking at this for named storm, tropical storm, X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to put on the table. I'm looking at this too because we are in a very, very ripe time of the year to where even if this is frontal or baroclinic or unstable, this is going to come through and it's going to create a lot of havoc because we have so much springtime heat, springtime moisture, springtime instability, and a very hot Gulf of Mexico. So regardless, if this holds true or we get some kind of strange iteration of one of those low-latitude lowriders we saw during El Niño's prime, that could definitely bring severe weather, high winds, potential tornadic activity for us here in the southeast. So multiple reasons why I'm looking at that. We'll get more into that here in a moment, but I'm also paying attention to our ensembles because notice down there off the East Pac, we're getting a lot more agreement now that something's going to try to bubble up, and this has also been trending too. You can see that as that gyre sets up, something tries to sneak back into the Caribbean and move straight up through Jamaica, Cuba, towards the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos up there. This is also echoed on, well, let me take a look at the European 300 millibar. Look at that giant anticyclone that's going to set up out there. Another very, very definitive sign that our CAG is going to try to develop, because if you think about it, low pressure leads to rising air, so you're going to have a high height center in the upper levels. So that anticyclonic spin winds out of the west and northwest across Central America, southern Mexico is an indication that our Central American gyre is trying to activate for late May, mid to late May. This is now late May at this point, 21 May. This was a look, I wanted to quickly glance through this, just taking a look at what the shear looks like, and you can definitely see shear becomes very optimal right around May 11th. And then from there on in, shear is almost a non-factor out there altogether for the East Pac. A little bit down there in the Southern Caribbean, but like we saw last year, we're not going to fixate on this because there were instances in November of last year when Vince tried to make his show, his fateful appearance 50,000 times in a row. We had that small area of favorable winds, and as soon as it moved out, boom, done, dead. So we're not even going to worry about that. My area right now is going to be off the Eastern Pacific coastline, or I should say the western coast of Centam into the Eastern Pacific, because you can see very good difluent flow indicated disappointed by our streamlines. Let me move my head out of the way. I just realized I'm in the way for you guys again. I'll go back to this corner. You can see very good upper level forcing, good difluent flow in the streamline. So we have rising air all the way out there, especially as you cross from the Southern Caribbean into the Pacific. And then our main bout of shear is going to be well to the north. So if anything wants to get going, it's going to have a really good opportunity to do so. And like I said, you go all the way through the loop, and you can see that wind shear just really isn't a big factor out there. Our wind shear just stays well to the north. Caribbean is buffeted by it. Gulf of Mexico looks like it tries to open up for just a little bit, just in time for that system to work its way through. This looks like it might be an upper tut that might try to form out there as well. But the Pacific Ocean is definitely looking more and more favorable for tropical Atlantic or tropical activity any moment now. It's like I said the other day, a ticking time bomb. Looking at the European AI model, even the AI model has something spinning up out there. You can see a little bit of a burst of moisture and then an area of low pressure that tries to consolidate and move off towards the west right there. And this is right around that same time frame between May 13th and May 18th is when a lot of our models are thinking something could try to organize. Euro doesn't give it as much of a vote of confidence, but check this out. We finally, for the first time, and I say that wholeheartedly, for the first time since late November of last year, we finally have our first operational model showing a true definitive tropical storm on the deterministic run. There it is, right there. Forms up, spins up, deepens down into a mid-grade tropical storm before it wanders out of that favorable AOR, tries to recurve back up towards Baja, northern Mexico, and we're done. But we now have deterministic models on board, and this has been trending for a little bit. Couple model runs. 0Z, it's also there as well. You see it spinning up, kind of holding that same intensity. All this looks a little bit more grim. Not putting a tremendous amount of faith into this because of how far out on the GFS we are. The main takeaway here is, though, is our operational models, our physics-driven models, are starting to see tropical development out there as well. So it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time, I think, before we finally start to activate stuff. We don't want to brief that. This is our potential velocity anomalies. This is a tool that's also going to help us big time when looking at when the MJO is going to set up and when we'll have some favorable activity or favorable regions out there for rising air, not only in the Eastern Pacific, but also for the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see there are periods of time, there are periods of time where we go really heavily into favorable velocities here from about the May 7th time frame, so tomorrow, all the way through to about late May, and then we pick right back up again beginning of June. And this is the control model. And then from there on in, if you notice, guys, from late May, we'll say for the Caribbean, right at about the 26th of May and on, we're predominantly favorable. If you notice, we get a little bit of red mixing in here, but if you come over to the average, look at how we're very quickly starting to segue out of very, very unfavorable to more favorable rising motions out there for our homegrown areas. And I believe the MJO is getting close to a position to where it'll start to help enhance whatever lift is out there and try to trigger a little bit more development out of whatever tries to form itself up out there. 850 vorticity, 850 mid-level energy, and all of our moisture out there. This is a look at our 46-day Euro ensemble. And essentially what this is showing is just a full-length breakdown of what could possibly be going on out there in the Atlantic as we move through time. So the timestamp is going to stay the same. It's valid for that full 46-hour period or 46-day period, but each of these different panels are going to be individual members. As you can see, this is our control member. This is our, I forget what this one's called actually. Control member, I want to say this is the mean average, or if not, no, wait, I'm dumb. This is the control member, and this is our first ensemble member. I'm sorry about that. I almost had a brain fart. And as you take it through time, notice that a lot of our ensemble models are thinking that there's just not going to, regardless, we're going to have lots of moisture available. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Which one was that? There you go. Damn it, I just lost it. What panel was that? 10, 13, 12, 9. I lost it. I just saw something down there that I wanted to highlight to you guys. One of our ensemble members. Yep, I lost it. Hold on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I lost it. There was a spin down here in the Eastern Pacific. So essentially all these different ensemble models are looking at different timestamps and different current states of the atmosphere. So what you do is you select your date up top here, and as you go through, you can check all the different individual ensembles for that specific day, if that makes sense to you guys. So down here is where you can step through time. This would be May 3rd, May 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. And if we come up here to the control, we can leave it right there and take a look as we step through time what the Euro ensembles mid to long range are thinking. And if you look right here, actually, even the Euro ensembles right around that same time we saw in the GFS, the 17th to the 19th of May, something weak tries to get its act together out there in the Eastern Pacific. And then we'll also have to pay close attention to these frontal tails as they wander through the Gulf of Mexico and they try to push down across the United States over the hot water out there. Because that's when you're left with that residual vorticity, if that's what you want to call it, that could develop into something a little bit more organized. So all of our models are definitely signaling activity down there in the Pacific. And if you notice, oh, look at that. I haven't seen that yet. I hadn't seen this. So our control member of the European model is also forecasting something trying to sneak its way out of the Western Caribbean over the Yucatan and then back up towards the state of Florida right as we get ready to initiate the calendar start of the hurricane season. I hadn't noticed that. That's very interesting. Again, very, very far out. Very far out. And we're going to see modification in this, but this is our control member, and it shows something sneaking its way out of there right as we turn the calendar into hurricane season. And then from there, it looks like it's game on. We still have that very weird, anomalous kinking in our ITCZ, like so, funneling it. And that to me is just a little spooky, I'll tell you the truth, because you can tell that the model is highlighting that we're going to have all of our dry, dusty air in place to the north here. But if a lot of our energy continues to move in this sort of a fashion, it's going to dodge all of it, and it'll emerge where it's a lot more favorable for optimal development, or at least slow and steady development is what we'll say. Slow and steady development. So there's a couple things on here that I wasn't even aware of, and this is valid for, let me see, what day is this valid for? So this was initialized on May 2nd, so here within a couple days, actually, in fact, we should get some new model data, I would imagine, later on today, if not tomorrow, so we can take a look at this as well. Now I really want to scroll through this, but I'm not going to take up that much of you guys' time. I would like to scroll through this at a later point and see what happens down there. So yeah, the member number 1 does not think we're going to have any organized tropical activity. Oh, there we go. Okay, so middle of June, ensemble member number 1 is pinging on that Gulf of Mexico Bay of Campeche development, going towards Florida. We're already noticing a trend here. Let's scroll through the loop for ensemble. We're only going to go through about 5 members, guys, and then we're going to move on to our next chart. I just want to see now, out of curiosity, what we have going on out here. So ensemble member number 2 is showing some MDR development, recurving out to C. Oh, look at that. Yeah. For my folks out there who commented, and this is not hype, this is just going off of trends. We have the CFS, we now have our long-range seasonal Euro, calling for more or less the same kind of trend. Trends, guys. Trends are your friends. A lot of folks have echoed that on different channels. I'm already noticing a very gloomy trend on the horizon for June. Florida. And, I mean, you can quote me. I'm not just making that up. I'm looking at this data, and it's brand spanking new to me as it is brand spanking new to you. This is ensemble member number 2 now, calling for something going through Florida, coming out of the Caribbean. Let's go to ensemble member number 3, and let's take a look. Let's go through time. So ensemble member number 3 is picking up on that development out there in the Eastern Pacific. And ensemble member number 3 is calling for some kind of a weird, erroneous area of activity to move up and get sucked through our subtropical high out here up the East Coast. Yeah, it's like a vacuum area almost. Nice little vacuum pulling stuff up in between those areas. So not seeing it, but still definitely seeing a large increase in our moisture, which is a good thing. This is when we roll into the wet season here in Florida and the Southeast, and that hot Gulf of Mexico is only going to continue to support that. So Let's take a look at ensemble member number 4, just for fun, shoots and giggles, and then we'll look at one more after this. Ensemble member number 4 has lots of activity in the Eastern Pacific, not so much here on the Atlantic side of things. Ensemble member number 5, last but not least, we'll go ahead and scroll through. Ensemble member number 5 has some stuff in the East Pac, definitely has something organizing in the Eastern Pacific, and then we get a lot of moisture activity up there in the Caribbean, in the Gulf of Mexico, and then it looks like on that last panel it's trying to develop something else out there. Yeah, and then there goes something else trying to creep its way out of the Gulf of Mexico. All right, next panel. This is our CFS. The CFS has been hinting towards anomalous tropical activity out across not only the Eastern Pacific, but also through the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And this is echoed once again. This has been consecutively on model run, model run, model run. It's been trending for quite a bit of time, I think a little over a week now. You can see right around May 11th, May 12th, you get some low pressure in the East Pac. It's definitely hinting at development out there as well. And then notice here, again, as we get through middle of May, it's trying to force something out of the Western Caribbean. This iteration has it moving right over the Florida Keys, over Cuba, through the Bahamas before getting picked up by this frontal boundary that comes off of the United States coast, off the northeast. And we get another area of activity. The East Pac is ablaze by now at this point. And again and again and again, look at that. Right at the end of May into June, something coming right out of the Caribbean. Now, obviously, this is very, very far out in time. You don't want to put a lot of confidence into this. You don't want to put a lot of faith into individual solutions. But what I'm taking away from these different runs, which goes back to somebody else who commented on my live stream yesterday who was a little mad, saying, stop emphasizing weak signals. And it's like, well, what else do you want me to do? All we have are weak signals right now. We're precursor. It's like signs and symptoms of a virus, signs and symptoms of an infection. You don't wait until you're infected to try to diagnose yourself or nip it in the bud before it's too late. Same thing with weather forecasting. You look for the signals, you look for the patterns, you look for the signs that are going to show you where you might want to look for that development. So I don't know why people are throwing flack already. I already knew it was coming. Whenever it comes tropical time, everyone either turns into a subject matter expert in the comments or they don't like the way you present information. And this year, I'm just going to take it as it is and give it to you like it is. I'm not pulling any punches or being, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. No, in this case, we're still on May 6th. We're not into the official start of the hurricane season yet, so right now, based on what's happening, our sea surface temps, end of El Nino, the large-scale pattern, we're going to start looking for the signs and the signals, whether they be weak, big, small, medium, halfway, sideways, forwards and backwards, side to side. We're going to be looking for all the signs and symptoms that tropical activity may be trying to activate somewhere. And I'm willing to bet that the weak signs we've been seeing in the East Pac are going to verify in about a week or so. Week or two, just get ready. We'll see those infamous yellow blips on the East Pac for sure. And now I'm very curious to see what happens here in the Gulf and in the Caribbean as we get closer to June, because I'm really not liking the fact that our models just despise Florida. Florida is definitely going to be under the gun this year. It seems that way anyways. Here is our latest forecast of the MJO, and the reason I bring this up, and I'll zoom it in for you guys so you can see a little bit better. Reason I bring this up, obviously, is because this helps to enhance our tropical activity. If you look just strictly at the wave propagation associated with what our MJO produces out there, by the time we get into middle of May, so this is 10 May, this portion here, this is 15 May, right around the time we're expecting development in the East Pac, and then possibly shortly after that is when our Central American gyre could really fire up towards the back end of May, May 20th, May 25th, and May 30th. Notice that's when we're right underneath our optimal phase for MJO, tropical cyclone, we'll say enhancement or supplementation, however you want to describe it. And then middle of May, we wander back away from the MJO and it repositions itself back over Africa and the Indian Ocean for another run at us in a few weeks. So if anything, I would say things like the MJO, our wind shear, and our CAG and our frontal systems are going to play a lot more of a role in the early portions of the hurricane season as opposed to later. Later on, when we get into August, September, October, they're going to just be running wild, running free. They're going to be their own thing. Right now, if we really want to develop tropical systems, we're going to need extra help from outside sources. Moisture, vorticity, fronts, upper lows that try to mix down to the surface, things along those lines. And then we'll take a look at our ENSOs before we get ready to wrap up the live stream here in a moment. It is 9:44. We're right on schedule. We'll take a look at this. Let me shrink the page down again so I don't buffet you guys with the wrong information. Apologize. Oh, now that's too small. Let's open it up again. There we go. We'll go to ocean analysis. And I want us to first go ahead and look at the North Atlantic. So if you notice, the Gulf of Mexico has really suddenly warmed itself up, especially on the east side. So we have very favorable conditions for tropical development right in through here, for sure. Right there. And that's where a lot of our models have been indicating something can try to sneak its way out of those hottest anomalies in the Caribbean and move up in in one of these fashions, whether it be due north to northeast, northwest to north to northeast. We still have quite a bit of frontal activity that's obviously helping to spark our severe weather events, and with every front comes a high pressure on the backside of it. So I really don't think at this point in time, unless something does try to develop, it would have to sneak its way westward towards Texas, Louisiana, Mexico at the right time to sneak its way through all these different troughs and all these different surface and mid-level fronts that are coming across, just killing us with severe weather. That entire area, I really do believe, this whole area is going to see severe weather over the next 5, 6, 7 days as this transitions through. And then it doesn't help that our upper level jet is going to help to reinforce the energy that's driving these systems in the large scale. So, oh, very good, very good. And then, yes, high risk. Let's go see. I want to see if they've actually opened up the high risk. Did they put the high on there? There it is. Yep. So we have made history for 2024. This is our first high risk that we've seen in 2024 for severe weather. So that is going to be crazy. That's a 5 out of 5. Like, at this point, there's no debating, there's no arguing. Once you hit that top threshold, that's it. You can't go any higher than that. So that's a 5 out of 5 high risk. First one of 2024, that's going to be big. And I would not be surprised if we continue to see, oh, there they go. They went enhanced for a large area. This could possibly go moderate. Would not be surprised if this goes moderate. I'm surprised they're only going with a level 2 risk for this. This is interesting. I would have gone a little bit higher than this. And it's nice to see that they're actually carrying Thursday as well. Thursday makes a lot of sense. We might get a little bit of something, a marginal level 1 or a level 2 on Friday as well. I really think that this has the potential to just go gung-ho all week, for lack of a better term. Before we wrap up the tropics talk as well, I wanted to take you over here and take a look at the actual temperatures. So if you look, we are definitely getting in there. And we are growing and growing fast. So we are at 31 degrees Charlie in the East Pac. Way more than enough for tropical cyclogenesis. You only need 26. You only need 26 to maybe 27 degrees Charlie to get these storms going, growing, and sustaining themselves. And if you look, the 26, 27s are really growing into the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf Stream. A lot of our favorable tropical ingredients are already there. So we have the hot water. We've had the hot water. We're going to get an anticyclone. So to sum everything up into a nice, wonderful bundle, this is going to be our area to watch as we go over the next few weeks. Might have to watch for some sneaky business out there in the MDR, just like they did last year with Brett Cindy. Don forming way up there in the mid-latitudes almost, which is a very erroneous storm. But you know what? We're in very erroneous territory, so that's not out of the realm of possibility. So as we wrap up, I'm just going to go ahead and draw. Everyone loves arrows, right? We all love the arrows. We love the here we go and the not goods and the look out, watch this. So there you go. I'm just going to draw all the arrows in. And I know that might look tacky, but it's true. This is going to be our area that we'll need to watch, both for the East Pac and the Caribbean. And this kind of is what I was concerned about and trying to explain last year. Is last year everyone was talking about hype and fear-mongering and blah, 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 blah. And everyone's focusing on the numbers. Everyone has been debating, talking, and conversing about the numbers in terms of, oh, how many named storms, how many named storms. I really haven't been worried about the numbers. I personally, I like the numbers. It'll be exciting to see if we get past what we saw last year, 21 named storms, or 21 total storms. But what I'm concerned about and what I think we need to be communicating to folks are, we saw everything forming out here last year doing this. We really didn't see anything getting close enough to make an impact. And I've explained this to you guys many, many months before on these live streams, and I hope I'm getting across to our new viewers, our returning viewers. This year will be different in the sense that where we saw our development is going to shift west. We're going to see more development in the Caribbean. We're going to see more optimal development in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's why I really don't want to emphasize the numbers. It's great to forecast 20 named storms, 13 hurricane, and I get why, because the more number of storms, and we said this last live stream, the more shots you take, the greater chance you have at hitting something. You miss all the shots you don't take. So the less storms we have, the less chances it'll be impactful. The more storms we have, the greater chance or the greater ratio you have of it being impactful. Problem with that is, that's great and all, but when you open up source regions that are in areas surrounded by populations, that becomes a problem. You can have one storm. And let's say, for instance, if we had one storm, let's say for some strange reason, people were right. People were saying, and this is all hypothetical, guys. Let's say everyone was right. The Saharan dust, no hurricane season is shut down. And all we had was one storm. That's it. And that was the storm that the Euro and the CFS showed us forming right here. We just had the one storm, record-breaking, the lowest amount of storms for a hurricane season. But if one storm forms right there and moves in any direction, it's hitting somebody. There it is, impactful year. Done. Oh, we had one storm, that's not bad at all. Yeah, but it hit Central America, hit Jamaica, hit the Cayman Islands, hit our people in Cuba, hit Bahamas, hit Florida. One storm. That's it. That's why we're really going to focus on our threats here on this channel, moving through the hurricane season and thereafter. We're going to start with threats first, who is threatened, then we'll talk analysis, and then we'll talk forecast, and we'll look long range. Notice we kind of did that today as well. We looked at what was going on out there. There aren't any immediate threats, so there wasn't anything to focus on. We looked at what's going on, and then we slowly moved into the large scale and then narrowed it down to storm specifically. And that's what I really want us to emphasize, and for the channels that have a huge following, emphasize to your viewers that we're going to have areas that saw nothing last year have storms popping off in a matter of a day or two, because we have the favorable conditions, we have hotter waters than ever, and we have La Nina that's going to open up source regions that were closed for business last year. And there's a big difference between forecasting storms coming off of Africa for the Lesser Antilles and the Greater Antilles, Central America and the United States, versus forecasting a storm that forms on your doorstep and you have maybe 24 hours. So for the folks out there getting mad at this channel and other channels who may run the same fashion, we're going to be looking at signals. We're going to be looking at every little sniff, every whisper, every sign language, every little nudge. We're going to be looking at everything, because if anything forms where it's not supposed to, i.e. right off the coast of Jamaica, right off the coast of Puerto Rico, to our immediate east of the Lesser Antilles, off Central America, in the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to have very, very short turnaround. It's going to form, and you're going to have maybe a day or two to prepare, especially for everybody out there who's been talking smack. They say this every year. I'll believe it when I see it. Well, when you see it, it might be too late. Again, I don't know why people treat weather like a non-factor. It's the same thing. Like if I had some kind of skin disease, I'm not going to wait until I see it to say something. I'm going to be like, something doesn't feel right. I should probably go get looked at. I'm going to looking at the signs, looking at the symptoms. That's what weather forecasting and weather prediction is all about. We look at the signs, we look at the signals, we look at the symptoms of development, of activity, and then we diagnose before it's too late. Because if you want to call forecasting pointing at a chart and saying, there's a hurricane, at that rate, I might as well just close the mic, turn the computer off, because any of you guys can do that. So But anyways, it is 9:53, guys. We're going to go ahead and close up the live stream. Just wanted to update you. I want to say within the next week or two, especially once NHC turns itself on the 15th of May, it's not going to take very long. If already immediately once they get started, we're going to start seeing yellow blips on the East Pac side for sure. And then we're going to be paying close attention to any activity out there in the Caribbean as we get towards the last 2 weeks, last week, and the early part of June. And the clock is ticking. Still sounds like we're talking way out into the future, but we're really not, because we got the same kind of flack on this channel back in January, February, and now look, we're already at May 6th. We're less than a month now, well within less than a month before hurricane season officially starts. So that's why we're going to get more repetitive with these updates. You can expect tropical updates or tropics talks, as we loved to call them last year. I may bring that title back at a certain point, especially once we have active storms out there. But we will have recurring tropical updates on this channel and on my other social medias every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're back in full swing. Tuesdays and Thursdays, depending on what's happening here in the United States, we'll do our CONUS briefings, our North America briefings, which tomorrow it does look like we're going to be very busy. Today we're going to be busy. I'm not too sure if I'm going to stream tonight because I have things in the background that I have to tend to. Tomorrow I'm going to be visiting WFTV and meeting with Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry. I'm so pumped for that. Can't tell you how pumped I am for that. So want to get a good night's rest tonight, make sure I'm ready to rock for that. I also have work. We're almost done with final exams, so once we get through that hurdle, once we get through the final exam hump, everything will be solid and good to go. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is when you can meet back here in the morning, sometime around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll talk tropics together. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be reserved for our CONUS briefings and our CONUS weather discussions, because obviously it still is early May, and we're going to continue to see severe weather impacting much of the central and eastern United States altogether. And even down here, we got to watch closely as our sea breeze sets up and gets into action, and any kind of residual frontal activity. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to take pictures. This time, not holding back. I did when I was at the conference a couple weeks ago, because I didn't want to look like I was there just fanboying with everybody. But this time, I'm definitely going to take pictures, and I'd love to do like a short video or something, whether it be for content or just for personal means, something like that. We'll see. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, an amazing thank you to all of our old viewers coming back. I've been recognizing some of the usernames, dropping comments on the live streams, and it's so amazing to see y'all coming back. I was a little worried for a second there that we lost you as we went through winter snow hype and tornado hype, but you guys are coming back, and it means the world to me. I'm super pumped about that as well, and we're going to get you through this from start to finish. We are riding out this hurricane season together, that is for certain, and I'm really excited to see what this has in store for us. Not excited as in like a hooray, but just excited to ride it all, come together as a community, and it's going to be a good time. We're going to get through this all together, and I'm already ready and prepped for us to be here in the trenches or out there on the roads, fighting the good fight, keeping everybody ahead of the weather as best as we can. And as you know, one day you will be someone's Tom Terry. Think I got the name. Oh yeah, wow. That's the goal. That is definitely the goal, and we're working on it, that's for sure. So that means a lot. I'm going to hold that comment near and dear. So, but yeah, still have a lot of research to do, have a lot of homework in the background, not with college, but just work for you guys and this content as we move through time. So Aston, you're joining in at the wrong time. We're getting ready to wrap up the live stream, but I do agree with you. I also see possible development later this month. I want to discuss the severe threat. I really do. But at the same time, I have 32 minutes now before I have to get ready for work. But let's just put it this way. It's coming. It's definitely coming. And, you know, truthfully, if I had to be honest, there's a lot of folks digging into the weeds on this. There's a lot of folks really getting into the data. But as lackadaisical as this may sound, this is like a clockwork severe weather setup. It's early May. We have a crap load of hot air out there over the eastern half of the United States because we've had like a stationary ridge, a dominating ridge just funneling in all that Caribbean Gulf of Mexico moisture. We're in the 90s here. For example, in Florida, we've been in the low 90s, creeping into the mid. Some models want us to go upper 90s before the week is over with. So it goes to show we have plenty of hot air, plenty of moisture, and any weak frontal system that's going to come through is going to create all kinds of chaos, and we're seeing it. That's why slowly but surely we've been going from slight to enhanced, slight to enhanced, enhanced, moderate, and then finally now our first high of the year. Today, we're not going to be doing another live stream. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tropical updates around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time recurringly. From here on out, we're only going to see more. If there's more happening, we will do more live streams, but from here on out, honest promise, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're back in full swing with our tropical updates and tropics talks. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be reserved for our CONUS weather updates and our CONUS discussions, depending on what's happening. If the CONUS seems fairly weak and, not a lot going on, we'll just skip it for my own sanity's sake. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, guaranteed, we're talking tropics here in the morning. And then we'll update videos, or we'll upload videos. We'll do more live streams when things are busy. I was in the March 31st, 2023 high risk, and I was kind of scared to admit, oh yeah, this is definitely something you take serious. I know it just looks like fancy colors, but this is a very serious situation, and on Instagram and TikTok throughout the day today, we're going to be updating as well. May try to squeak in a live. Please don't hold me to that. Because I'm also recognizing to avoid killing myself this hurricane season with, God forbid, as busy as it's going to be, I got to learn to backpedal a little bit. There's going to be a lot of folks, Ryan Hall, Reed Timmer, I know there's a bunch of other folks out there, ONW, TRG, bunch of names out there who are going to be covering this, and I am totally okay with passing the baton so I can mentally rest and take care of Oh, no, we're going to keep doing evening, like I said, PM. Tuesdays and Thursdays, like we have been, we're going to be doing our CONUS briefings, depending on what's happening out there. Like I said, from here, we're only going to up content. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, tropics, Tuesday, Thursday, CONUS, and, overland threats. And we can only go up. I'm mentally and physically preparing myself to go up. If we have to up the content to cover tropics, severe weather, I will. But right now, that's the medium kind of pace that we're going to keep. Just again for my own sanity, because I do not want to die during the first 2 weeks of hurricane season and then be completely burnt and not want to look at another microphone, look at another camera, talking weather so much, because summer semester is going to be here. I'm going to have more classes, more exams, more familial obligations, more Navy obligations. I'm already working on rescheduling my Navy drill for this month. Hopefully that goes through, because I have obligations and, just a lot of things that I'm balancing in the background. And it's going to be tough, and I recognize that, and I'm already communicating to everybody that this is going to be a very, very long-winded marathon. And that's the thing. I want to keep a marathon's pace. I don't want to move into this like a sprint and then be crushed mentally when it comes time to either gear up and do a long live stream for tropics or get ready for an eye wall intercept here in Florida or somewhere in the southeast. So that's the battle rhythm. Those are the rules of engagement. Bass bashing, not right now, no. Right now we're doing okay. There's no immediate tropical threats on the horizon, especially on the Atlantic side. I do think Eastern Pacific is going to come alive right in time for its May 15th start date. And we'll definitely talk more. Wednesday, tune in. If I see anything big, obviously, like we've done in the past, we'll go live at a different point in time. But Wednesday, definitely be back for more, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I want to thank every single person out there, not only my returning viewers. I love you guys near and dear, genuinely. I love seeing all your usernames. I've gotten very comfortable seeing all your usernames, and I've gotten very comfortable talking with all you guys. I don't even feel like I'm talking to viewers anymore. I feel like I'm talking to friends, and I'm sure you guys noticed that. And for all of our returning viewers and our new viewers, a huge welcome and a big welcome, or even bigger welcome back, I should say. We got started last year. We built some solid momentum, and I think this year the momentum is what's going to matter the most. We got to keep the momentum going, keep reeling people in, because I will not be afraid to issue 2-3 week outlooks. I will not be afraid to go against the grain and forecast something totally different. And I know a lot of you guys recognized that last hurricane season. And there's a lot of work to do. So welcome everybody. Welcome back everyone. And definitely thank you so much to everyone who has been here since the end of last hurricane season, now preparing to roll into a new one altogether. That's what it's all about, and I'm really excited about that. That's what I'm most excited about this hurricane season. Not the storms and all that. I'm just very excited that we have even just an intimate community to roll into together, because that's what matters the most during bad weather, is banding together and sticking together when it counts. And that's how we get through these severe weather events. That's why I always tell people, relax. If you have severe weather or tropical anxiety, relax. Not only because we have other sources guiding you through it, but you have friends and folks alike in our community, whether they're in the chat, in the channel, or elsewhere. Regardless, you're riding it out with other people. You're not alone in this. You will not be alone in this. And that's what it all boils down to. That's really what you need to keep close to you. If you are in a high risk threat, if you are under a tropical storm or a hurricane warning, just remember, we are all going to get through this. You are not alone in it. And there's a lot of folks you can cling to and just hold on. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's why I'm so excited, because I have a lot of new friends and a lot of new people who are coming back, coming to the channel, and all you guys, and we can all just build that momentum together. My long-term viewers, spread the word. My long-term viewers, extend that helping hand. For our new viewers and our returning viewers, we mean business. And if all the models are correct, there's a reason we mean business. So, with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We will see you again very soon. Drop any comments, questions, or concerns into the chat discussion or into the comments section of this video, or drop me a private line on my Instagram, X, or TikTok, and we will meet again very soon, guys. Saludos from Belize. Thank you very much, Melvin, for rejoining us. We are back in business. Destiny, good morning. Locked on from Trinidad, West Indies. We will definitely keep you updated. And everybody else, far and wide, I got your back. 110%. But until next time, this is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.